8121. 1-800-500-8121.
Here's today's tax tip. You must have health insurance to avoid paying a tax penalty even under the recently passed tax reform legislation. Chief Tax Officer for Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, Mark Stever, says if you did not have health insurance in 2017 and are supposed to have health insurance in 2018, the penalty applies.
All Americans right now, and even under the new law, under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, must have health insurance.
He says the penalty for going without health insurance is fairly large. Those without insurance can be penalized with 2.5% of the taxpayer's income, or $695 per adult person. Whichever amount is larger will be the penalty the person is going to be required to pay. There's also a smaller penalty for filers having children who are uninsured. Steeper says the recently passed tax reform law did not eliminate the requirement to have health insurance in 2019, but did make the penalty zero. He says that causes some confusion to taxpayers and experts in the tax industry as well. He said it's a unique way to sort of repeal the Affordable Care Act requirement. That's today's tax tip from NBC News Radio. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Uber is getting out of the package delivery business called Uber Rush. The on-demand service operates in New York City, Chicago, and San Francisco. It will be winding down toward closure at the end of June. Word that Uber Rush is shutting down comes on the heels of another on-demand shipping company, Ship, announcing it was ceasing operations. India is expressing confidence it can recover its lost communications satellite. The Indian Space Research Organization launched the SAT-6A into orbit Thursday. A few days later, it confirmed it had lost contact with the satellite just 4 minutes later. The Times of India reports it may have been due to a failure in the power system. Facebook is now promising to delete videos users record but never published. That's after it was discovered that old draft videos were buried in Facebook archives. And 3D knitting may be on the horizon, similar to 3D printing, but with yarn. Researchers at Carnegie Mellon say it's more likely to become an industrial tool than a home machine. Tech Update, Mark Woolsey, NBC News Radio.
Tuesday, April 3rd. Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan, Clyde Redan, Dave DeCourbier at iHeart Central in the CBD, downtown New Orleans. And got a great show coming up today. Going to be really hitting kind of the gauntlet of local sports, everything that's going on around the city, around the region. We'll start off around 10:30 with Jeff's favorite new sports that he's enjoyed, WrestleMania talk, and he brought it upon himself. It's Jeff's fault. You're the one who reached out to our colleague, Gene Gilliard, who, to me, is better known for the Gene Gilliard stats of the week in my First and 10 column. But no, you want to get all the ins and outs of WrestleMania, so you booked him. This is on you, dude. This is
I booked him more than once. We booked him twice.
More than once. I'm fired up.
I did drive down Canal yesterday, and they have all the WrestleMania banners up. So it is happening. There's no avoiding it.
It is happening. No, it's not going to be postponed by rain or anything like that. Sorry about that, Jeff. But no, Gene Gilliard from NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune, who's going to be all over this all week because there is massive interest despite our Pro Football Hall of Fame selector over there across the table. There is big interest.
Like I said, big interest in the Home and Garden Show.
Not
boat show.
Not as big as that, no.
Same thing.
I don't think it draws people from, 50 some odd countries? The boat show?
54, yeah. No, I'm just saying,
or the Home and
I
Garden.
have no doubt that there's interest in an entertainment event, yes.
Right.
It's like going to a huge jazz fest, but we don't talk about jazz fest.
We don't?
We will. Well, I mean, we don't have a show. We don't have guests on to talk about.
Well, as a news organization, we cover the hell out of Jazz Fest, so we should cover the hell out of WrestleMania.
I'm not saying we shouldn't cover it. Just not in the sports section.
I just love.
And you know what? It's not being covered in our sports section.
I just love.
It is running in features.
That's okay.
Features department, not sports.
Look,
is there a reason for that?
As a person who's worked in the newspaper business who understands that clearly things of this nature need to be moved around, I would expect better from you, Jeff. I would expect better.
Why is no one in sports writing. Well, Gene's writing about it.
Gene
Why is it not
Hayes
running in the
Hayes doing
sports
some
section?
Facebook Lives too.
Why is it not running in the
sure.
sports section? Then?
Well, it's entertainment.
The sports
and that's
reporter
okay.
is writing it, and it's not in the sports section.
Hey man, you want us to name us? What you doing this weekend?
I'm saying, answer the question.
I can answer the question. Our own
Why
Josh
is it not running in
Katzenstein
sports?
has a buddy flying in from out of town to go to WrestleMania. They're going together, and he showed me the shirt he was buying.
You keep talking about being popular. I understand it's popular,
Yeah, I know.
but it's not a sport.
But
That's
you
my point.
booked Gene Gilliott on the show.
This pacify you all and him, who've been begging me for weeks.
Well, and he might not even be the biggest name we get this week. Ooh, stay tuned.
Oh boy! So we'll
I
talk.
think I'm going to be sick tomorrow.
Well, no,
host
you
the show
can't.
by myself.
No,
Yes,
you
yes,
can't.
I'm ready.
Because I'm going to LSU Pro Day tomorrow because you have asked nicely for me to go, so I'm going to go LSU Pro Day tomorrow. So I'll be chiming in from there tomorrow. But speaking of LSU Pro Day, I want to get a lot of LSU tidbits in as well. We're going to have Ron Higgins on top of the 11 o'clock hour. Want to get his thoughts basically on the Final Four, and the champion Villanova just steamrolls everyone with no problems. But I want to get his thoughts on the expectations of LSU basketball next year because, Jeff, you look around the internet right now, and everyone's got their way too early top 25 lists for next year, and LSU has made the list.
They made the list.
Made the list.
Multiple lists being in the top 25 starting next season. So I'll get Ron's thoughts
That's
about
awesome.
that. LSU's taking on Nichols in baseball tonight. LSU, you know me, RPI McGee. I did some research. It took me a little while to do some research on LSU's RPI because I had to scroll, and I finally found them closer to 100 than they are to number 1. I'll just put it to you that way.
That's not good.
That's not good. So they take on Nichols tonight. We'll talk with Ron about that. And then around 11:20, the following segment, we'll talk with Darren Gant from Pro Football Talk. We'll get his thoughts on the Saints and the NFC South. He's based in Charlotte, covered the Panthers for years and years. Also a fellow Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. Am I correct in that, Jeff?
Yes, very much so.
So we'll chat with him maybe a little bit about that. And he was at the NFL owners meetings with me and just get his thoughts on some of these rule changes. I know there was a big and still big discussion about the ducking the head helmet rule that I think every NFL coach is going to have to teach their players of what the heck this even means. And actually, Sean Payton, if you read some of the comments from him, I forget where I read it from. Maybe it was from Peter King's column or something about the rule, and he was one of the major proponents for that rule change to get that thing done. And that was a surprise at the owners' meetings when we went to the press conference. You know how they have every year with, say, Rich McKay from the Falcons, and that rule we didn't see coming, and so that was a big kind of a big hubbub within the owners' meeting. So we'll talk with Darren about that as well. So yeah, good show lined up here today on Dunc and Holder.
Yeah, I'm interested in some of these rule things. I'm curious if the rules are going to be as revolutionary to the sport as people are making it out. I mean, Adam Schefter tweeted that football is being overhauled. I don't know. That's a little dramatic for me. I don't know if it's going to be
a little
overhauled.
dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you watched, and it goes back to my experience over in London when I watched that Ireland-England rugby. I mean, you see tackling, they don't have helmets on, so they can't afford to use their heads, and you see the sport maybe evolving to something closer to that, where you use a lot of arm, you're wrapping up, you're engaging still, it's still physical, but you're not going for the light up shots leading with your helmet. It just makes a lot of sense to me.
I'm just wondering how enforceable the rule can be, considering now there's possibly ejection involved, almost targeting. And I could tell you, talking with some of the league officials who were kind of involved in this, some of the doctors who were involved in this, and I talked with them later on the evening after they announced kind of these rule changes. The last thing they want it to be deemed as is targeting. They don't want it to be targeting, quote unquote, just like in college football. But that's semantics. It basically is. If you do that and someone from New York can eject you, it's basically what the rule is. They don't want to hear it, but that's what it is.
Yeah, I think the first time someone gets ejected, that's when this thing is going to hit home, and there's going to be a lot of controversy. Can you imagine if, say, Marshawn Lattimore gets ejected? I mean, the Saints' primary cover man, all of a sudden you're down your best. Something like that is going to be dramatic, and it's going to have a huge impact. So there is something to discuss here going forward. It'd be good to get Peyton on the show at some point, and we need to probably work to get Sean
about that. He owes us. He promised us.
He does owe us, and get him to talk about this. The discussion in the room about, was there maybe some latitude there besides going all the way to an ejection?
Yeah, I don't think it's nothing immediate, and I think that question was even asked. Actually, I know it was asked to Roger Goodell in his press conference by Jarrett Bell from USA Today. Basically, what's the distinction between a 15-yarder and an ejection?
Right.
And they still are saying that they left the rule vague, and it sounds like they want to kind of tighten up the rule when they get to the May meetings and do that. So it's certainly interesting, and we know kind of the backlash from defensive players, and there was a loud reaction via social media from some NFL players, and Roger Goodell basically said, well, they're just reacting to what was kind of put out there in reports. No one's actually sat down with them and talked to them about the rule and this and that. So, of course, there's still discussions to be had there, but still, there's concern there. And, Jeff, also, after leaving the owners' meetings, the discussion was kind of brought back up that if they don't make kickoffs safer, they're going to eliminate that. And I think that's part of, say, Adam Schefter's, they're trying to I don't know, change football as we know it because things are being kind of thrown out the window there.
Yeah, I mean, eliminating kickoffs would be a major, major step. And I don't know, there's been a little movement toward that lately. We've heard more and more conversation about that, but that seems pretty dramatic to me. I don't know.
It does seem dramatic. Well, it also, to me, takes away job opportunities because you have people who are specialized returners, and that eliminates a position, honestly, and eliminates some people's character traits as far as on the field. And look, the Saints could certainly use a return guy. They're not going to have Alvin Kamara back there all the time like they were showing in the playoffs. So they could always use it. So that I bet you Sean Payton, he's told me in the past, he'd raise his hand and certainly eliminate the kickoff and says, look, if everybody just starts at the 25, with the offense I have, I'll take my chances every day on that.
And the fact that they never return a kickoff for a touchdown
right,
might factor in that they're never any good on returns. He probably would be up for eliminating punt returns too.
Well, I'm also worried about if that were to happen, you have these guys who make the team on special teams. You eliminate part of that from the equation, that's more jobs that could be potentially lost, honestly.
Well, you might remake the roster.
Right.
Suddenly those guys, the Steve Gleasons of the world, aren't as valuable.
Because you use them just on punt returns, if that would be the case, and punt coverage. But if you would if you would basically eliminate, let's see, you got 3 phases in special teams. If you eliminate one of the phases, you probably would, like you said, kind of reshape the roster a little bit.
What's his name? Is it Hardy, Justin Hardy?
Yes,
right.
He was great.
Made so many great plays in coverage.
Banjo too.
But their value goes down if they're not needed in coverage. If you don't need to cover a kickoff, then what's the point of keeping you on the roster? All of a sudden, your value becomes more in the regular rotation.
Right. I'm curious to see where this goes. But, yeah, look, we'll talk with Darren Gant about that. So, all right, let's take a break right here on the show. In about 12 minutes or so, we'll talk some wrestling with Gene Gilliott, NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune. Well, he's been covering the event every time it's come here. So, look, it's a big thing. I'm not going to get on the ins and outs. Jeff, I will say this. I don't even know who's wrestling who, so I don't know the actual card. So we will not go X's and O's and dissect
I'm not
the
going to
card.
pull it up, though.
There's X's and O's?
Absolutely. I
Pull it up.
I know it's not Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior or Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. Mr. T's not fighting in this. I don't know who's... Is Ronda Rousey in this thing?
Yes, Ronda Rousey is taking on...
See, Clyde knows. I knew he would
know. Stephanie McMahon. So
What?
this is going to be her first official fight in leaving UFC, coming to WWE for Ronda Rousey.
Okay. And she
taking on the CEO.
I just saw her picture, and she's wearing like the Roddy Piper type T-shirt.
Yeah, that's gonna be her. That's gonna be her deal. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Gene will give you. Never mind. On Thursday, we'll get the X's and O's.
I'll be
say Roman
taking
Reigns
a long
versus
break here soon.
versus the JYD or somebody. I don't know who the
Daniel Bryan, he's back in. All this stuff. It's gonna be lit. It's gonna get litty.
Jeff's all in, so I could tell he's fired up. Come on back, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Older.
Oh, smart speaker on my desk. Who is smarter than all the rest?
A stable genius you may be, but those who win the smart money are surely more wise than thee.
You have up to 16 chances a day, every weekday to win $1,000 on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like a whole new person.
Disclaimer, you will not become a whole new person. This is impossible. You might be able to join a gym or diet program, buy a new wardrobe, get hair implants, but your DNA and physical form will remain the same. Geico waives any and all liability if you attempt to become a new person, except a cyborg. If you choose to become a half-human, half-cybernetic organism with lasers for eyes, the Geico legal team would be cool with that, because, quote, laser eyes are pretty sweet. Pew, 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 end quote.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
On Deadliest Catch, they battle the sea. And they battle each other.
Get off the boat! Better fish when you ain't get the weights!
But this season,
it's game time in the Bering Sea.
They battle the record books.
On the crab, baby! Look at all them crab!
This year is all about the crab. Deadliest Catch, the new season, premieres Tuesday, April 10th at 9 on Discovery.
Aging gracefully isn't easy. Low T, thyroid issues, and weight gain all conspire against you. Enter Vitality Wellness Group. Vitality Wellness doctors are experts in hormone therapy, ED, and a host of aging issues. Call 504-309-4172 or visit NOLAHRT.com.
Message and data rates may apply.
Hi, I'm Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. After I left baseball, I just couldn't stay in shape like I used to. Turns out, once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone, and that can make it harder to get into shape. So I got back into the game with Nugenics. I'm feeling stronger with a lot more energy and drive. You want to get back into shape? Get Nugenics. All you have to do is send one simple text.
Frank's right. Just text TIP to 321321 to get a complimentary bottle of award-winning Nugenics, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Its unique man-boosting formula is powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help a man feel stronger, leaner, more energetic, and more passionate.
And guys, she'll like the difference too.
Nugenics samples are not available in stores. To get your complimentary bottle, text TIP to 321321. That's TIP to 321321.
Be a part of the New Orleans Tricentennial Dog Parade at NOLA City Bark to benefit NOLA City Bark. On April 22nd, bring your friends and family and show your NOLA spirit with your dog. This fun event will include a morning dog walk, costume contest, food trucks, and more. Celebrate the Tricentennial and support NOLA City Bark with the lucky dogs that get to call New Orleans home. Register before April 5th to have your dog's photo printed in Gambit. For more information, visit NOLACityBark.org.
It's just one of those days. This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
You want to get involved in the show? Feel free. Got some open segments throughout the show. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. And Dave, I was about to say I have a brain fart, and Dave knew it, and he just told me in my ear. Ken and Slidell. Ken, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What you got, Ken?
Yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on two topics. One is something I know Holder has talked about a little bit, which is the fullback position. Later in the draft, a position that's going to be addressed. I mean, John Kuhn's 35. He's been hurt. You could probably get the #1 rated fullback in the draft rounds 4 or later is the projections to really make a real good camp competition there and have a reliable fullback to improve the run game. And the second topic is I was a little surprised the Saints signed Davis at linebacker, and the Saints seem to be really stacked at depth at linebacker. Is there a possibility the Saints start using 3-4 linebacker sets, get 4 linebackers on the field in some situational football.
Hey, Ken, appreciate the phone call. Good questions. Let's start with the fullback spot. They have two of their own, say, free agents kind of floating out there, John Kuhn and Zach Line. I know, probably a month ago, our own Herbie Teope reported that there was some mutual interest in bringing back John Kuhn. And anybody, if you sign one of these guys back, it's going to be, say, at the veteran minimum, so you're not having to spend money. So that's why there's no real mad dash to go get a fullback. But, look, maybe if you are in the 6th round, 5th round, and you got a few picks back there, could they ponder that spot? Sure. Look, they certainly took a punter there, and he's been with them for years and years, one of the best in the league with the Thomas Morstead. So it's something that they might ponder. I still think they bring back either John Kuhn or Zach Line, and maybe I feel like a fullback would be someone you go pick up after the draft. Jeff, is that maybe kind of the read you would look if they sign one of these guys that they're familiar with?
I think I mocked a 7th rounder to them, but I mean it's not going to be above that. But the Saints do value the fullback more than a lot of teams because they incorporate the fullback into almost the tight end role. I think they call it the F-back position. So the tight end on the Saints roster has to learn the fullback responsibilities and vice versa. And we've seen it in the past. I mean, John Kuhn, one year, I think he scored 5 touchdowns for the Saints. And Zach Line also got in the mix. They love to bring that fullback out of the backfield in the passing game. So they don't traditionally use just a big, stocky blocking back guy. They want an athletic player that can also catch the ball. And those guys, though, aren't valued much in the league. That's why you can get them late.
You're not looking for, say, a Mike Tolbert, who's just kind of a stocky guy, like you've seen.
The old Low Neal, like Lorenzo Neal.
Right. You want a legitimate, say, fullback, and they could look that route. Now, as far as linebackers concerned, I don't think it necessarily surprised me that they went out and got DeMario Davis. It kind of surprised me how much money they spent on DeMario Davis. I think that's kind of the thing, because if you're spending that kind of money, you're expecting him to come in and be this pretty significant difference maker. I'm just wondering who fits where is one of my questions leaving the NFL owners meetings and my takeaways after that. You've got a bunch of guys who can play certain they're versatile. I'm wondering where you plug and play all these guys because, look, we got to see Manti Te'o play pretty well last year. Craig Robertson played pretty well last year. And yet, if you're looking at, say, the base defense, and I don't think they're not going to switch to a 3-4. That's not happening. They're going to stay 4-3.
No. That's they might play a little 3-4 within their framework, but their base is always going to be a 4-3, and they're multiple. That's what Dennis Allen would tell you right now. We are a multiple defensive system, and they will morph into a lot of different things. I've seen them a lot of times play the bear defense in short yardage situations, which is a 5-man front. So they're going to morph in and out. So there might be a time where they play a little 3-4, but it's not going to be their base.
And you talk about linebackers. If I'm looking at the depth right now, this is early, and this could certainly change, but I don't think they venture away from Alex Anzalone at weak side linebacker. They probably feel like he can come back and be a capable player there. Then is DeMario Davis in the middle, and A.J. Klein is the strong. And what happens when you go to nickel? Do you take A.J. off the field? Because you probably don't want Davis and Klein on the field at the same time if you're a nickel because one might be susceptible in pass coverage. That's something they got to figure out, and Sean Payton admitted as much at the owners' meetings. All right, let's hit the phone lines again. Let's go to Houston and talk with Steve. Hey, Steve, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What's up, Steve?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, guys. Sure. Really enjoyed the show. I've seen reports out there that Gronkowski will be traded in the next couple of weeks. I know we just signed Ben Watson, but if you can get your hands on the best tight end in the league, bar none, I would think or hope the Saints would have, some inquiry into this. Any information about this or thoughts regarding this scenario?
Hey, Steve. Yeah, appreciate the phone call. And I was going to bring this up because Pro Football Talk had a little blurb. The first report of a looming Gronk trade has emerged. And then 15 minutes later, Pro Football Talk kind of stepped back and says, I'll just read the tweet. Because Pro Football Talk was citing WEEI, which is a Boston radio station. And so I'll just read the tweet that came out like I said, 15 minutes after the initial blurb on PFT. So Chris Curtis from WEEI just called to say that the report, in quotes, from Ken Laird was a joke, even if the tweet to that effect suggested the exact opposite. So who knows what's going to happen. All I know is this. The Saints have certainly made many trades over the past several years with the New England Patriots. Is it worth making a call if you're Mickey Loomis? Of course it is. Does it mean anything ever gets done? No. But would you want to inquire maybe about Gronk? I sure as heck would. Why not? You always entertain in phone calls. That's like the whole Odell Beckham thing. Everybody's always entertaining phone calls.
Entertaining phone calls.
I mean, they just signed Ben Watson, though, and I know he's a one-year deal, but like it would venture away from the plan they already have in place. But if he becomes available, then you have to reevaluate it. But you're going to have to pay him a lot of money down the road for sure, and you've already got money tied up in. I don't know. That's a big-time investment in a tight end that's got some tread on the tire.
And then do you worry about his durability? And specifically, obviously after the Super Bowl, it was a very different Gronk. I mean, they've lost the Super Bowl with him before, but he seemed like a person who was very openly thinking and wondering about his future in the NFL. So I guess those are my two questions too. Like, are you worried about his durability because of all his injuries and surgeries? And then two, about how long do you think he has left personally for him in the NFL?
Yeah, I think that's certainly a part of it.
I think it falls under the same umbrella as the Odell Beckham Jr. discussion. It's almost the exact same thing. Big superstar, needs to get paid, has played a little bit, but you're looking at cap issues in a year or two. So can you make the case, yeah, we bring in Gronk, but it's like a 2-year proposition with Breeze still at quarterback. We're going to make a Super Bowl run. I don't think they need Rob Gronkowski personally.
I think they could live without him. I think, honestly, I'm actually going to be writing about this today because you see all these familiar faces coming back. They're not bringing back these familiar faces just because it's lazy or something like that. They know they have a specific role. They know what Patrick Robinson's going to be. They know what Ben Watson's going to be. They know what Jermon Bushrod's going to be. It's not just because they went after Jimmy Graham, but they knew he would still be viable within the offense. So it's not that they're just, oh, we know him. Let's go sign him. Come on back, guys. Let's party.
Get the band back together.
Let's bring back Mike Hass. Let's do it. I know him. Remember him?
I think they know the player. They're comfortable with him, and the player knows the Saints and understands the culture there, understands the offense. Makes a lot of sense, but these players are all role players that they're bringing back.
Right, exactly. So, all right, let's take a break right here on the show. When we get back, let's talk with our own Gene Gilliott from NOLA.com.
Do we
the
have to?
Times-Picayune. You booked him twice this week. You booked him twice this week.
And have the entire card up and ready to go.
Well, we'll go through the X's and O's of who's going to win the WWE Northwestern Intercontinental Championship. Does that belt still exist?
Well, it's kind of merged now. It's the Universal
Right,
Championship Tag Team of the World Intercontinental belt.
Same thing. Yeah. Jeff's on it.
Mentally checked out.
If you can't bet on it, I guess it's not a real sport. Is that right, Jeff?
I think you can bet on this.
How? But
I thought you could bet on this.
Oh, it is. Larry just said it.
Dude, I just totally bursted everyone's bubbles.
It's still real to me, dang it.
Exactly. All right, let's talk with Gene next. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder.
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
This report is brought to you by Zurich Classic.
I'm meteorologist Nakandra Norwood in the Fox 8 Weather Center. It's not a bad day. We have some clouds around, but overall, very pleasant conditions. Not out of the question you get a sprinkle on your windshield because there's so much moisture and warm air around. But the real rain threat is late tonight as we await a line of storms developing with a cold front that's going to be pushing into the region. We could see some strong to severe storms, so be on the lookout. This is after midnight until the wee hours of the morning. For Fox 8, your weather authority and Bounce TV, I'm meteorologist Nakandra Norwood.
It's a new way to party with friends under the umbrellas or on the new Sky Deck watching great golf. Enjoy fresh oysters, fried seafood, and cocktails. The Acme Oyster House, right on the course at the Zurich Classic, April 26th through 29th. For tickets, call today. Visit ZurichGolfClassic.com.
This week on Big Easy Deals, get a family 4-pack to the Audubon Aquarium of the Americas. At the aquarium, penguins, stingrays, sharks, and other deep-sea creatures await your visit. Get your family 4-pack for only $48 at foxsportsam1280.com. Keyword deals.
Mr. Ed's Seafood and Italian Restaurant, serving the best fried chicken in town, fresh Louisiana seafood, as well as delicious Italian dishes. Try our daily chef specials or an overstuffed po' boy. Open Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. till 9 p.m. with 2 locations to serve you. In Bucktown at 1001 Live Oak between Bonneville and Lake Avenue, or in Kenner at 910 West Esplanade at Chateau Boulevard. Let Mr. Ed's cater your next event. Mr. Ed's Seafood and Italian Restaurant. 2 great locations, 1 great menu. Mr. Ed's Oyster Bar and Fish House, now open in the quarter 7 days a week at 512 Bienville.
The New Orleans Pelicans have the perfect way for you to do it big with your buds by scoring the Guys Night Out 6-pack presented by Loft 18. Packages are available for select Pelicans home games throughout the season and include 2 tickets, 4 beers, and a $20 gift certificate to Loft 18, your ultimate indoor golfing experience, all for as low as $50. Do it big with the next Guys Night Out 6-pack presented by Loft 18 on Wednesday, April 4th against the Memphis Grizzlies. Visit Pelicans.com to plan your Guys Night Out today.
Do you know the power of a good idea? The Latrim Corporation has grown through people and their ideas. It all started in 1949 when our founder, J.M. Lapierre, invented automatic shrimp peeling machinery that changed the seafood industry. J.M. founded the Latrim companies, Intralox, Lapierre Stair, Latrim Machinery, and Latrim Machine Shop. The people of these companies have patented hundreds of new inventions used around the world. If you have good ideas and want to help create the next Latrim innovation, visit Latrim.com for a full listing of positions.
There you are. I've got great news. When you use your Capital One Venture card to book and pay for a room on Hotels.com/venture, you'll earn 10 miles for every dollar you spend at thousands of hotels. Doesn't that sound amazing?
It does, just like the smooth jazz in this hotel lounge.
Wow, Captain Obvious. I didn't realize you were such a jazz fan.
I have 2 loves in my life, this deal and the jazz tuba.
Clearly, it loves you right back. What's in your wallet?
Offer available through January 2020. Capital One Bank USA N.A.
Whether you ride the wave or like to growl, we're talking your teams. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back to WrestleMania time! And only one man that we should talk to about this, our own Gene Gilliott, otherwise known as First and 10 Stats McGee, helps me out all the time. Without him, First and 10 wouldn't happen. What's up, Gene? How are you, my friend?
Doing pretty good. Kind of sad that the first time I'm on your show is talk about wrestling and not the Saints, though, huh?
Yeah, but you get name dropped like every week, all the time on the show. I mean, I used to think you were a loyal listener. Now I'm doubting you. What's up with that?
No, I'm a listener. I just don't understand why we don't have a weekly stat segment on the show.
Well, see, now he's calling him. All right, we'll do it.
We could do
Done.
that.
Yeah, that's easy, man.
That's easy.
Yeah.
All right, that's easy. Yeah, we got to, you got to eat up some airtime.
All right, well,
sometimes.
thanks for joining us, Gene.
No, Jeff. No. You booked Gene twice this week. It must mean that WrestleMania is a huge event in this city. Gene, look, and there's John Cena. He's coming in the studio. He's about to literally grab Jeff and throw him through the glass if you rip WrestleMania one more time.
Time is now.
But Gene, look, you've covered this event more than once because obviously the impact that I guess the WWE saw in New Orleans was pretty huge. For them to get it a second time, probably in such a close time frame, what does that say about what this city does and how it connects to this event?
Oh, the WWE absolutely loved their time here 4 years ago for WrestleMania 30. Huge economic impact, but they got a lot of feedback from fans saying how much they love the city. A lot of the other WrestleMania cities in the past and since, you have to do a lot of traveling, kind of like the Super Bowl, whereas here you can walk out your hotel and walk to all the events, and I think fans really like that. Plus, they're able to go out on Bourbon Street after and kind of take over that too, and kind of cause a ruckus on the streets. So I think they liked all that, and they I guess liked the bid and decided to come back. One of the other options was Minnesota, where the Super Bowl was. But I don't think they wanted fans to have to sit out in that cold. I know Jeff didn't appreciate that this past February.
No, my phone froze for the first time ever in the cold weather. So.
Never heard of that. Well, hey, at least New Orleans beat out Minnesota for an event.
Something.
They couldn't beat them for the Super Bowl, but they beat them for WrestleMania.
Lost to the Vikings twice,
Right.
lost to the Timberwolves.
Right.
Yeah, we have not been doing well. But so the question I have for Gene, the one question I have.
One question.
At last week's
program.
at last week's Superdome meeting, the commission was discussing WrestleMania and what a global event this has become, and they said, and I believe I got the right number here, that they've sold tickets to customers from 54 different countries, and that kind of blew my mind. I thought this was just an American phenomenon. I didn't realize it had such a global reach. So obviously this is going to be a huge deal for the city as far as tourism is concerned, and I can see why the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation booked it and has booked it now twice in 5 years. But how did this WWE become such a global event, Gene? I had no idea that people in I think they said that Brazil has a huge contingent coming in for WrestleMania. I don't know. That was eye-opening to me.
They've always been huge in Europe, and more recently they've gotten a lot bigger in South America and Asia. A company in Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling, is probably the second biggest wrestling company in the world, or most popular. So they have fans that travel from here to Japan for their events, and vice versa. But yeah, I think argument can be made that fans in Europe and places like that, they're even more passionate about the product than we are here in the States. They use like soccer chants at events. They follow everything they do, even though they don't see it as much as most of the wrestling is done here. But their fans over there, and they'll be here in droves, making all kind of ruckus and going to all the events.
Gene Gilliard? Yep, go ahead.
I'd also wanted to add what you were talking earlier. You can bet on these matches.
Ooh, so it's a sport, Jeff. If you could bet on it, it's a sport. Just like at the Super Bowl, Nipplegate. If you could bet on it, it's a sport. Go for it.
Although I don't look at the betting because they seem to have more inside information than you would want. And if you look at it right before the event, you can almost kind of tell who's going to win because the betting will skew majorly to the person who's going to win.
Well,
that sounds like a great.
Jeff's going to get online and he's going to get in the corner, and all of a sudden he's going to be like, "Oh, look at my account! I just made $11 billion gambling on WWE, even though I bashed it all day." So,
good job.
Do it, Jeff. I know where you're going with this.
So you're telling me that this pre-choreographed decision and outcome, you can bet on it? That seems against all like gambling
ethics. Oh, you mean there's actually ethics in gambling?
I do know.
Well, right now they haven't decided who's going to win per se every match, so sometimes they don't decide till the day of. So if you bet it right now, technically they don't know possibly who's going to win. So
yeah, Jeff, just remember that.
Somebody else weigh in, please.
Anyway, so it's kind of like betting on the NBA.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like betting on
That's
the
a good point.
NBA.
Because the playoffs are totally different than the regular season.
But
that does bring up an interesting question, Gene, about specifically if people don't understand the full scope of what goes into not only these really the big pay-per-view events, but this is the biggest pay-per-view event that WWE puts everything into, and specifically these the wrestlers, these acts, everything that goes into it is so expansive that the fact that no one knows still what's quote unquote going to happen by Sunday is such a huge thing. So can you talk about that a little bit? Just kind of enlighten the listeners on why that is and what goes into the preparation starting from now to the rest of the week.
Can you say that one more time?
Oh yeah. So after what you just said about how they don't know who's going to win yet, and they haven't really kind of finalized everything for WrestleMania. It's such a huge event, but it's interesting to hear that. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about why they haven't done that yet, but the process that goes through the rest of the week in terms of really finalizing everything that's going to happen by Sunday?
Well, a lot of it is because they are basically a 365-day operation. You know, they had a show last night. They have a show tonight. They had shows on Saturday, Friday, last week. So even though the matches are set, a lot of the focus is trying to get through each show. And then when they show up here in the city, they'll get together and discuss some stuff. But the individual wrestlers, they'll know what they're going to do in their match or a general outline. But their concern isn't always who's going to win. They wait, for the big man to tell them that. And of course, the individual wrestler wants to win, but the performance and entertaining the fans kind of comes first. So they kind of worry about putting on the show a little bit, almost as important as who wins a match.
And Gene, you can fill me in on this because I know there's more than just the actual WrestleMania, right? I mean, there's all kinds of events starting when, like Wednesday or Thursday? When's this whole thing start ramping up? And there's almost something every day. There's multiple major events for this week-long kind of festivity.
Well, there's autograph signings starting tomorrow at various places. There's one at the Chalmette Walmart. There's one at the Barnes & Nobles on Vets. There's also, before I get into all the wrestling stuff, there's charity events all week long. Several of the wrestlers are going to the Ochsner Children's Hospital tomorrow. There's going to be a Make-A-Wish on Saturday. There's a Special Olympics basketball game tomorrow, Thursday on the West Bank. And then the actual wrestling stuff, they have fan access Thursday through Sunday at the Convention Center. There's 4-hour sessions that you can buy tickets to, and you can get autographs, watch live matches, listen to Q&As with different stars. And that event, which I've been to many times, is absolutely bonkers.
Bananas.
With all the people from all over the world and all the people locally all going to these events. There's thousands of people at them. And that's where you really get to see how passionate and popular this is, because it's basically out in the open and people walking around. And then there's 5 wrestling shows and 5 nights starting from Friday to Tuesday.
Jeez, so I just remember way back when it used to just be the event. And when did they start really ramping it up where you've got shows that it's not just WrestleMania? That's like in the middle, if I'm going with what you're saying. They're basically building this thing up. When did it start to grow like that?
Well, even 4 years ago at WrestleMania 30, there was a show. There was a Hall of Fame ceremony on Saturday night, WrestleMania on Sunday night, and Raw on Monday night. And that was it, besides the access. Since then, in 4 years, they've added 2 shows. SmackDown on Tuesday, which used to leave the town, and there would still be SmackDown on Tuesday, but it'd be out of town. Now it's in the same town, and also NXT, sort of like their development territory, which the hardcore wrestling fans, a lot of them like even more than the main product. They have their own show now Saturday night at the Smoothie King Center, and that's sold out, I believe. And they didn't have that even 4 years ago. But the access probably started about 10 years ago, maybe less than that. But it's amazing how much it's grown just in the 4 years. 2 extra shows, and I think they had charity events every year as well.
Gene Gilliott, NOLA.com, and it's Times Picayune. He will be covering all of the events, all of the hoopla, everything. So we will talk to you again on Thursday, Gene.
We're going to go over the matches.
Oh yeah.
Well, Jeff needs to understand what's going to happen.
Study. I need more study time.
He needs to dive into this like it's the Kentucky Derby. He needs a deep dive.
I'll throw out this opinion too. I don't like football kickoffs. I know y'all talking about that earlier. I'd say get rid of them as well. Start at the 25 and move on.
Because there's one NFL, one pro football group is going to do it, the XFL. They said they're getting rid of it.
Oh, Vinnie Mac. There we go. Spin it all back around. All right, Gene, talk to you Thursday, bud.
Thanks, Gino.
Talk to you then.
All right, that's Gene Gilliott.
He knows his stuff. I give him that.
Of course he does.
Oh, yeah.
Holy cow.
And I can't wait to, and I cannot wait to get into these matches. It's going to be so good. Specifically, Ronda Rousey, Kurt Angle against Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. It's the new blood versus the CEO and I guess next really owner of WWE whenever the big guy kicks the bucket.
My head hurts.
I'm not even willing to go into the matches. I'll figure out some more roundabout questions.
I'm going to get into the matches. It's fine. I'm going to supersede you. It's fine.
Of course you will. All right, let's take a break right here on the show. Plenty to talk about. So come on back. Sports1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
With up to 16 chances a day, every weekday to win $1,000. A smart move would be to listen.
I'm a smart speaker, and I agree.
The keyword to text and win comes at the top of the hour.
The smart money is on.
Sports 1280, New Orleans.
The Home Depot has free carpet installation for any carpet purchase over $699. Free installation, as in no hidden fees for moving furniture, ripping out old carpet, carpeting stairs. Fees other places charge for their free carpet installation, we don't. For carpet installation that really is free, start with carpet from the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid on carpet priced $1 or more per square foot. Specialty items may be priced separately. License numbers available at homedepot.com/license numbers.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-500-8121. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-500-8121. That's 1-800-500-8121. 1-800-500-8121.
Hi, I'm Nick Jonas, and I'm here to tell you about Think It Up, a new initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join us at thinkitup.org.
The buzz on social media is that New York City actor Brandon Victor Dixon was the breakout star from Jesus Christ Superstar live broadcast on NBC. The 36-year-old actor who played Judas has been nominated for 3 Tony Awards and most recently played the role of Aaron Burr in the Broadway production of Hamilton. Dixon made headlines back in November when he addressed Vice President-elect Mike Pence in the audience following a performance. The Weeknd is in a legal battle over his Starboy brand. TMZ reports the rapper filed court documents opposing someone trying to trademark the Starboy name for use in television projects and another for comic books. The second filing came less than 2 weeks after The Weeknd and Marvel announced the release of a comic book centered around the Starboy character. Hall & Oates are back with a new track titled Philly Forget Me Not, featuring trained singer Pat Monahan. The upbeat ode to the duo's former hometown is Daryl Hall and John Oates' first original song since 2002's Do It for Love. Hall & Oates and Train are planning to perform the song every night on their upcoming co-headlining tour that gets underway May 1st in Sacramento.
There's no crying in baseball!
Reports say Amazon Studios is developing a TV series based on the 1992 film A League of Their Own. That's entertainment. Lisa G., NBC News Radio.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Thanks to Dave. I'm not going to pretend like I knew who this was. But Dave is channeling his inner Morton Anderson with a little Volbeat. Is this someone's theme song too that I don't know about, or is this just straight up Volbeat? Should be. Sounds like it could be like The Undertaker or somebody.
No, it's not dark enough, but it's close. Maybe this could be his, like, after he wins the match, then this is his post-match winning song.
Maybe this will be Jeff's theme song when he magically shows up in the ring on Sunday. Yes.
That'd be awesome.
Help me out here with my lack of wrestling knowledge. Was The Rock ever a wrestler?
Yes, The Rock.
Are you kidding me?
Seriously?
No,
Seriously?
I'm very serious. I don't know. Was he?
Yes. How do you think he got his start?
I don't
Literally, he. Oh, Jeff. Wow. You know, Jeff.
That can't be a real question.
That's a real question.
You're killing me, Small.
How? What? Like, even like a 90-year-old grandma knows that.
Yeah.
How do you not know that?
I'm not a 90-year-old grandma.
I bet you that 87-year-old grandma who likes to call and heckle you is going to do so shortly.
Oh, I forgot about her.
Yeah,
I
I hope
have
so.
not.
Now remember, she's not going to get on the air and say this. She's going to tell it
Call
to Dave, and then Dave's going to tell us.
He's got to relay the message.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I just have no background at all in wrestling. Like, literally zero.
Oh, my word.
I think when I was growing up in Louisville, Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis used to host
huge.
like Jerry Lawler.
Absolutely.
I remember some of those guys.
You know someone to ask about this? Ron Higgins. Because Ron Higgins, I can't remember if he talked about this later on.
We're not talking to Ron about wrestling.
Oh, we're not.
He'll probably have a
you,
good comment about it.
I'm telling you, I would be willing to bet, at least if we make it quick, he has at least some kind of story, a very small one, on him covering, because I believe he did.
He covered wrestling.
I'm pretty sure, or he either covered or went to. I remember him talking about this.
Well,
because
I don't
Ron
know
is a very okay. Well, I'll bring it up because I'm gonna sabotage.
You know
I'm gonna sabotage again.
The Masters start this week. We could always talk about the
I
Masters.
do know about that.
It's a big
I was
deal.
waiting to talk about that. We're definitely going to talk about it because
Tigger's playing.
It's certainly more interest than we've seen lately because it's amazing of Tiger.
It is amazing. He's playing great. Did you see yesterday's practice round? Fred Couples said he looked like 10 years ago.
Still shouldn't be the favorite though.
No, I don't think so either. No, I don't think he should be the favorite.
I mean, there's no way.
He's not the favorite, is he?
I thought he was.
Yeah, he was
was.
the favorite. He didn't start as the favorite though.
Was
Right?
it like 16-1 or something like that?
Let's look up the odds.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I don't
Odds
have that
McGee
ready to
over
go.
here.
Odds
Yeah.
McGee.
I'm going to be watching every day because I think it's going to be great theater.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, I'm going to complain about that.
Okay.
Because
Go ahead.
it's hard to watch every day because they limit the broadcasting. It's like ridiculous.
Well,
I
that's
don't
Augusta.
understand that.
That's Augusta National. They have the rights.
Why?
To that. They're a different tournament.
You know it. I mean, you've covered the event. I mean, why is that the case? Why do they want to limit what we can actually see?
Because by selling certain rights, they keep the exclusivity to that network, and it raises the value. And it's such a high demand event, they can do it. They can do it where other tournaments can't. And you're right. Everybody wants to see during the day, and you have to wait around. But that's what makes the Augusta different than every other tournament.
I know. I want to watch the whole thing, and they don't allow me to do it, which is.
I think you can stream some online, but people aren't going to do that. At least most people aren't.
I'll give you the odds. Latest odds as of Monday. Tiger is no longer the favorite. He was the favorite, but now people are probably smartening up and not putting money on him. Rory McIlroy is actually the favorite. Again, this is as of yesterday. He's at 19-2. Bubba Watson 10-1. Dustin Johnson and Justin Thomas 11-1. Tiger Woods is 12-1. Jordan Spieth is 13-1. Phil Mickelson 15-1. Ricky Fowler 35-2. Justin Rose 25-1. So those are your major. And Sergio Garcia, the defending champion, 31-1. Of note, also Jason Day 30-1. And just actually John Rahm, who is number 3 in the world right now, we just got news that he is committed to the Zurich.
Yes,
which
along
is
with Sam Burns,
which is a big get of Sam Burns of LSU, right?
Yes,
John
That's
Rahm
big.
is 30-1, and so he's one along the leaders as a favorite to win the Masters. And actually, at Golf Odds, Jeff Sherman saying the Masters wagering stats leaders, the money wagered, John Rahm is actually number 5 on the list of people putting money on.
He's one of the hot players on tour. Sam Burns is one of the rising stars, former LSU star a year ago.
He just won an event.
Yes, and he is, Shreveport native, still lives up, I think, in the Ruston area, and that's a great get. Both those are great gets for the Zurich. And, we probably should try and get Steve Worthy on. Maybe we can try and get him on this week to talk about the Masters and also about some of the growing field that they're having out of the Zurich, because they are knocking it out of the park.
Absolutely. I think that's a good call. Maybe we'll do that later on in the week.
I'll endeavor right now.
Absolutely. All right, hour number 1 is up. Hour number 2 is on the way. We'll talk with Ron Higgins about all things LSU. The Final Four, Villanova wins the national championship. But how well can LSU do next year? The expectations are high. So interestingly enough. Then around 11:20, we'll talk with Darren Gant from Pro Football Talk. And your phone calls are still welcome. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder.
A study from the Center for Disease Control says 1 out of every 6 adults in the U.S. are binge drinkers. Dr. Robert Brewer, a lead in the CDC's alcoholism program, says binge drinking is not only a health risk, but a public health and safety risk. The CDC defines binge drinking as 4 or more drinks consumed in a short period for women and 5 or more drinks consumed in one sitting for men. The study says that excessive alcohol consumption leads to 88,000 deaths a year, which costs the U.S. over $249 billion. Google and Amazon are working on digital assistants that can track your mood and your health. The New York Times reports the 2 leading sellers of digital assistants have filed patent applications for devices that could monitor more of what users say and do. The Times reports Google's applications are for devices that could analyze the user's voice, breathing rate, crying, coughing, and sneezing. The president of the group Consumer Watchdog calls the devices a surveillance system meant to serve people up to advertisers. Health update, Jennifer Pulsoni, NBC News Radio.
WODT WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280. Fox Sports trending now.
Former UCLA coach Jim Mora is getting a lot of grief for naming USC quarterback Sam Darnold as a better fit for the Cleveland Browns in the upcoming NFL draft than his own former QB Josh Rosen. Mora this morning on Fox Sports Radio's Dan Patrick Show.
I have been very clear, very consistent, very complimentary towards Josh Rosen. I don't think I've made a statement in the negative about him. He is dedicated to the game. It's interesting that a statement that one player may be a better fit for a team than another can be construed as negative.
As far as the Browns go, reigning Heisman winner Baker Mayfield is headed to Cleveland to start his 2-day visit with Cleveland. Browns, who hold the 1st and 4th picks in the draft, are also hosting Rosen, Darnold, and Wyoming's Josh Allen this week. And Browns coach Hugh Jackson says all 4 of these QBs are still in play for Cleveland's top overall pick. Breaking sports news as it happens. I'm Deb Carson.
We are Fox Sports. Your shot at $1,000 now. Text the keyword LOCK to 200-200. You'll get a text confirming entry plus iHeartRadio info. Standard data and message rates apply. That's LOCK to 200-200.
We're here in this new neighborhood to talk about the American dream. Looking good, boys. A dream that Navy Federal Credit Union wants to help you celebrate with a mortgage that you won't lose sleep over. Navy Federal offers 100% financing, no private mortgage insurance, and even no money down on a variety of conventional and VA loans. So start living your dream today. Subject to approval, 100% financing loans include an additional funding fee. Visit NavyFederal.org for more information. Open to the armed forces, the DoD, veterans, and their families. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
On Deadliest Catch, they battle the sea.
Survival suits on now!
And they battle each other.
Get off the boat! Better fish when you ain't get the links!
But this season,
it's game time in the Bering Sea.
They battle the record books.
We're the crab, baby! Look at all them.
This year, it's all about the crab. Deadliest Catch, the new season, premieres Tuesday, April 10th at 9 on Discovery.
I'm attorney Mike Brandner. When you're hurt in a car wreck, time matters. The time it takes you to call for help, the time it takes you to get medical treatment, and the time it takes you to call an attorney can all affect the value of your case. We have a team of professionals and experts waiting to begin working on your case the moment you call. The faster you call us, the faster we can get you the money you deserve. In a wreck? Need a check? Call Mike Brandner today. We're available 24/7, 345-1111.
Hurt in a wreck, Mike Brandner, the one called 345-1111.
The New Orleans Pelicans have the perfect way for you to do it big with your buds by scoring the Guys Night Out 6-pack, presented by Loft 18. Packages are available for select Pelicans home games throughout the season and include 2 tickets, 4 beers, and a $20 gift certificate to Loft 18, your ultimate indoor golfing experience, all for as low as $50. Do it big with the next Guys Night Out 6-pack, presented by Loft 18 on Wednesday, April 4th against the Memphis Grizzlies. Visit Pelicans.com to plan your guys' night out today.
Mr. Ed's Oyster Bar and Fish House, 3117 21st Street, open Monday through Thursday from 11 to 9, Friday and Saturday till 10. Serving the freshest Louisiana seafood. Come get oysters raw on the half shell, charbroiled, and more. Try our cold or hot appetizers. The catch of the day are our barbecue shrimp bourbon. Enjoy a great pasta dish, crawfish etouffee, or shrimp and grits. But save room for dessert. Dine in our beautifully renovated dining rooms, on the patio, or belly up to the bar to watch the home teams play. Mr. Ed's Oyster Bar and Fish House, now open in the French Quarter 7 days a week at 512 Bienville.
Warning, if you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now, 1-800-500-8121. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now, 1-800-500-8121. That's 1-800-500-8121. 1-800-500-8121.
This week on Big Easy Deals, get a family 4-pack to the Audubon Aquarium of the Americas. At the aquarium, penguins, stingrays, sharks, and other deep-sea creatures await your visit. Get your family 4-pack for only $48 at FoxSportsAM1280.com. Keyword deals.
Uber is getting out of the package delivery business called Uber Rush. The on-demand service operates in New York City, Chicago, and San Francisco. It will be winding down toward closure at the end of June. Word that Uber Rush is shutting down comes on the heels of another on-demand shipping company, Ship, announcing it was ceasing operations. India is expressing confidence it can recover its lost communications satellite. The Indian Space Research Organization launched the GSAT-6A into orbit Thursday. A few days later, it confirmed it had lost contact with the satellite just 4 minutes later. The Times of India reports it may have been due to a failure in the power system. Facebook is now promising to delete videos users record but never published. That's after it was discovered that old draft videos were buried in Facebook archives. And 3D knitting may be on the horizon, similar to 3D printing, but with yarn. Researchers at Carnegie Mellon say it's more likely to become an industrial tool than a home machine. Tech Update, Mark Woolsey, NBC News Radio.
Dunc and Holder, hour number 2 on a Tuesday, April 3rd. Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan, Clyde Verdun, Dave DeCourbier. We're all together again back in our iHeart studios. You missed any of hour number 1. Of course, you can check back sports1280.com, and you can go check out our NOLA.com YouTube page. And also, Clyde will have our daily updates as well. And shortly, we will have on Ron Higgins of NOLA.com, Times-Picayune, talk a little Final Four, LSU basketball, LSU baseball, all things LSU. Then in about 15 minutes, we'll talk with Darren Gant from Pro Football Talk Saints, NFC South, and also some of the NFL potential rule changes. And also later on in hour number 2, my, oh my, oh my. Not good when Drew Brees ends up on TMZ. What could it be? We'll get to that later on in hour number 2. But please be joined by our own Ron Higgins. Ron, appreciate you jumping on the show. And just your initial thoughts on the NCAA tournament. Villanova basically steamrolls everyone. And it's, look, there was some intrigue in the tournament, but not once you got to the Final Four. It was all Villanova all the time.
Yeah, I mean, they went through that whole tournament, double-figure wins, which is rare in this tournament. It's just that I think kind of like Villanova might be the next Duke, really. I mean, I just think Jay Rice, a great coach. He's won 2 in the past 3 years. I think as good as Duke has been, I'll say they're fading, but Krzyzewski is getting pretty old, and he keeps running those one and dones now a lot through there, like Cal, and it just seems like Jay Wright's really building something. I mean, they got a bunch of players. I mean, they lose 3 guys from their team, but they got a bunch of guys back, including DiVincenzo, who was just lights out last night. Shot the ball as well as I've ever seen anybody shoot in the Final Four, especially from the outside, which is and it's hard to shoot in a Final Four in big arenas. I mean, because the background is so screwy, the depth perception is so tough in domes when you play in those things that it's hard to shoot well from the outside. So when a guy has a game like that, it's pretty remarkable. And so yeah, I mean, it was a good tournament, had a lot of intrigue in the first couple of rounds, like it always does. But most of the time, I mean, except for Loyola Chicago, the usual suspects kind of end up there, and it kind of happened this time. So I thought it was a good overall good tournament. Villanova was by far the best team. They proved it.
Ron, well, one of the other reasons why I wanted to get you on was because, as soon as the tournament ends, people put out there very, very, very way extremely too early, obscenely early, but hey, let's do it anyway. Top 25 list for next year. And I know your former colleague, Gary Parrish from CBSSports.com now, and also I saw another rankings from the Big Lead, both have LSU in the top 25. And look, we've figured the expectations would be high, at least locally, because we know kind of the recruiting class coming in. But to me, I'm not really that surprised that nationally they're getting some recognition. Just what do you think about them already being kind of touted as maybe a top 25 going into next year?
Well, I mean, you look at the ESPN recruiting rankings with top 100, LSU signed, their whole class, their 4-man class, a lot of them is in the top 49. I mean, that's pretty incredible. I mean, they've got huge people coming in, athletic people coming in, long people coming in. Something they didn't have this year. They didn't have anybody really big. They didn't have anybody really, tall. Nobody really with any kind of weight on them. And you have, 4 really great players coming in. Naz Reid, 6'10" and 240 from New Jersey, number 22 overall in ESPN rankings. You got Emmitt Smith. He's from Florida, 6'6", 215, and he's number 21 overall in the rankings. You got Javonte Smart from here in Baton Rouge, Scotlandville, a guard. He's number 35. And Darius Days from Florida, from IMG Academy. He's number 49 overall. He's 6'7", 218. I mean, this is a hell of a class, and I don't think he's finished yet. I think, some guys may be leaving, knowing they're not going to get playing time. And I think Will Wade is very much a modern-day coach who understands a lot about college basketball free agency, so to speak. Understands there's been people out there who want to transfer. He understands there's people out there who are graduate students who might want to play one more year somewhere else. And he's looking at that. And that's kind of like it's kind of like the way basketball's gone now. I mean, there's guys who want to go elsewhere, even after they've played somewhere a couple of years, and then they've graduated. They've got one more year left. They want to go somewhere where they think they're going to play or help or change the scenery. And LSU got one of those guys this year, and he was a pretty good defensive player, and I thought he helped them. And we'll see who Will gets now, but Will's expanded their recruiting past just high school and junior college. He's looking at everything.
Talking to Ron Higgins, columnist for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Ron, you were with me in the press box at Smoothie King Center on Sunday night to witness that Oklahoma City victory against the New Orleans Pelicans. What's your take on where the Pelicans are at right now? They're still hanging in there, the number 8 seed. They get Memphis tomorrow night, a franchise you're quite familiar with from your time up in Memphis at the Commercial Appeal. That should be a win for the Pelicans, but is there reason for concern for Pelicans fans? And also, do you think this team has it in them if they get in the playoffs to actually try and maybe win a series?
I don't think they win a series. I mean, I think a start would be win a couple of games, honestly. I don't think win a series, especially if they get in now. You're probably playing Houston or Golden State, depending where you finish, if they get in. And like we've discussed before, it's getting iffy now. It really is. The performance of the night was just absolutely shameful. I mean, for a team that's battling for a playoff spot at home, and with the few, they only got 2 home games left. That was the third one. You can't throw away home games like that. And I mean, I know I get it. The fact that Oklahoma City has 3 future Hall of Famers in its lineup, it's kind of ridiculous, really. The 3 guys they have, but I'm looking at this road trip: Phoenix, Golden State, and the Clippers coming up after the Memphis game, and they need to definitely beat Phoenix and probably need to. I mean, the Clippers are 1 game behind them, I believe, and so that it's getting really iffy. I mean, it really is. It might come down to the final game at home against the Spurs. It might, and if that happens, they might get lucky because I don't think Popovich is going to play anybody of any consequence in that game. If it doesn't have any bearing on his playoff spot standing, he'll rest people like he always does. And so they might catch a break there, but they really need to start picking up and win some games. And they just looked the other night just disjointed from the word go. They couldn't even catch a pass. They couldn't make a pass. Nervous.
Yeah, it looks sloppy. I mean, just overall. All right, Ron Higgins, LSU SEC columnist, also doing some Pelican stuff for us at NOLA.com. Ron, let me switch gears back to LSU. They are going to be taking on Nichols tonight. And look, I am an RPI junkie, you would call it. RPI junkie. Clyde and Jeff make fun of me so much.
Not Clyde. Don't put me in this.
All right, so Jeff makes fun of me because I pay attention to the RPI too much. But I had to scan down, I don't know, about 10, 12 swipes before I could find LSU's baseball RPI there at 80. What's kind of the latest that's been going on? I know we haven't talked a ton about LSU baseball because all the other things that have happened down here the last couple of weeks. But what's kind of the landscape right now with Paul Maneri and his bunch?
Well, I think they're getting better. It's just that they've had a lot of injuries early. They had pitching to start the year, and their pitching has gotten a lot better. Their hitting has come and gone. Like I said, they've had 2 or 3 injuries that have hurt them, but the record's still about where it was last year at this point. And this is how bizarre. I mean, how good the SEC is. I mean, LSU's 5-4 in the league, which is a game behind Ole Miss in the Western Division, and Ole Miss is ranked number 3 in the country. So it kind of tells you how bizarre it is. I mean, as far as Maneri and the RPI, he doesn't quite understand how they. He goes, 1 weekend we beat somebody and we dropped 10 spots, and he didn't quite understand how it works. It's hurt them to lose some of these midweek games. They've lost twice to Louisiana Lafayette and lost to Southeastern Louisiana. But they've won 2 of their first 3 SEC series. I think probably the 80-something is a little far back. Probably should be up some more. But I think basically as they go through the SEC, it'll raise up more and more because every SEC team. I mean, they have 12 SEC teams ranked ahead of them in RPI. And then the his RPI should raise if they win some of these games. And but their pitching has gotten to be pretty good, and hopefully their hitting will back it up. They've gotten some good pitching, and their start has been excellent from Mikhail Hilliard, a freshman, who's just been lights out. And their relief pitching has been outstanding. They've kind of figured out who fits and where in relief pitching. And so, I'm not particularly worried about this team at this point. Of course, last year everybody was ready to fire Maneri, like in the middle of around May 1st. They said, LSU is terrible. I mean, they can't coach, and he's in the World Series a month later. So it's kind of like the way his teams go. I mean, Clyde's seen this over and over with LSU. I mean, they improve gradually, and then they get to May and they just take off. And I think that's what everybody's kind of hoping.
Yeah, Ron, I mean, specifically about that was going to be my question, and it's seemingly the player that's going to probably helped them more than any on those Sundays is Mikal Hilliard. I mean, obviously he was co-freshman of the week this week. That was announced on Monday. And it seems like anytime he comes onto the mound, it's a little bit something different than what Zach Hess is giving you, what guys are giving you. And especially if they go into the middle of this month and into May and he's firing on all cylinders, LSU's going to be a tough team to stop.
Yeah, and Hess is good, but not great. I mean, he's been good, but not lights out great. But he's been good. But Hilliard's been people just haven't. You don't see a curveball like that very much in college. What he has, I mean, he has a major league spin rate of 3,200 RPMs, which is just ridiculous. And he's he's unbelievably calm and collected for not just a freshman, for a senior. He just doesn't rattle. And it seems like almost every one of his starts, he gets in trouble in the first inning because somebody, he'll give him a couple of hits that'll scoop by a guy's glove by inches, and he'll have guys on base, and he'll just get out of it like no big deal. And he's been tremendous. And he'd probably be undefeated if they would have had any kind of offense at Vanderbilt. He lost 1-0 and gave up 4 hits, and still lost. He'll be undefeated. So he's been. I'm going to say a pleasant surprise because when Maneri saw him in the fall, he knew he was something special, and so did the LSU players. When the veterans saw him in the fall and the way he pitched and what he has in his arsenal, they knew that he was going to be really, really good, and he has been.
Hey, Ron, let's get to some serious matters here. We were just discussing earlier on the show about WrestleMania. Did you have any experience with wrestling back in the old Mid-South Coliseum, Memphis days?
I ran to Jerry Lawler a lot in Memphis. Jerry Lawler, is probably one of the most recognized names in wrestling. I mean, he was a guy, of course, most of the people nationally, the average person knows him from going on, I guess, was it Tonight Show or what show? And he decked Andy Kaufman.
Right.
And supposedly, damaged his hearing, damaged Kaufman's hearing. I mean, Kaufman's probably damaged anyway. But I've had some stuff in wrestling. I tell you this, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time was Bill Goldberg, because he played football for the University of Georgia, and I covered Goldberg. And I knew from talking to Goldberg when he was a player that he was going to be something special doing whatever he was going to do, because he had that personality back then of just you wanted to interview him every time you came across him. And it was no surprise to me that he became a huge star in the pro wrestling, was inducted to the Hall of Fame last Friday. And now you see him in different movies and stuff, not quite like The Rock level. But I guess Goldberg would be my favorite. And it was big in Memphis. Memphis was a really big wrestling town because they used to have, for the longest time on Memphis TV, every Saturday morning they have a wrestling show done live in one of the TV station studios, and a wrestling ring in there. And they do wrestling in the TV studio, and that was a huge staple of Memphis TV on weekends for years. So Memphis was a wrestling town, and it was good to see Goldberg get in the Hall of Fame. I liked him, and it's great theater. If you ever been to one of those things, all you got to do is laugh. I mean, it's such great theater. I mean, they do a great job of scripting the stuff and the plot lines, and it's if you go in there with the idea, it's like watching theater. You can enjoy it. If you go in there thinking, like some people actually do, like it's real. Some of the falls are real, and some of the hurts are real, yeah. But as far as intentionally trying to hurt somebody, no. But it's great theater, fun to watch.
For all the talk that Jeff keeps bagging on wrestling, he keeps wanting to talk about it. So that's why he brought it up, Ron. That's why Ron brought it up. Ron Higgins, LSU SEC columnist. He will be participating in the main event, going against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. It better happen. Let's do it, Ron.
Well, I have my steel chair with me right here. So I always always carry a steel chair with me just in case I want to hit somebody.
And make sure your manager has like a brick in her purse, and you could just like drill them and be over.
Absolutely. In my day, I could jump off the top rope. Now it's like the bottom rope. It's not very impressive.
Great stuff, Ron. Appreciate it. I know you're swamped. Appreciate you taking the time, buddy.
All right, guys. Take care. We'll see
All right, that's Ron Higgins. Up next, Darren Gant from Pro Football Talk. Let's talk a little NFL coming up next. And Drew Brees has been scammed? What? We'll talk about that later on in this show as well. Coming back, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
On the Devil's Wings. Don't miss 1 second of the Pelicans' flight to the playoffs. Every game is on News Talk 99.5, WRNO, and then do it big with our Sports 1280 New Orleans All-Stars. Spread your wings. Spread the word. News Talk 99.5, WRNO, and Sports 1280 New Orleans.
Wow, it looks even better in person.
Oh, yeah. And I put nothing down on this bad boy.
Nice.
That's not even the best part. Navy Federal offers car loan decisions in 5 minutes or less, and you can do it all from your phone.
What?
Yeah.
That's amazing, dude.
Get pre-approved for your next new or used car at Navy Federal Credit Union and find something new to brag about. Visit NavyFederal.org to learn more. Open to everyone in the armed forces, the DoD, veterans, and their families. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, I'm Paige Davis, host of TLC's Trading Spaces.
And I'm Ty Pennington, the hunky carpenter.
Wow, you do not sound like me, baby. We should just stick to Trading Spaces, not voices.
Good idea, Ty.
Look, we're here to tell you about Trading Spaces because it's back, including the original crew and some fresh new talent.
Two neighbors have 2 days and just $2,000 to redo each other's rooms.
It's that easy.
Oh, really?
Sure, we're just going to make all the new guys do all the work.
Trading Spaces returns Saturday at 8 on TLC and TLC Go.
Lock your doors.
Aging gracefully isn't easy. Low T, thyroid issues, and weight gain all conspire against you. Enter Vitality Wellness Group. Vitality Wellness doctors are experts in hormone therapy, ED, and a host of aging issues. Call 504-309-4172 or visit NOLAHRT.com.
This is Smart Hacks for your smart speakers. I'm Stacey Walter. Did you know that Alexa will read bedtime stories to your child? Yeah, just say, Alexa, tell bedtime story to Billy, and you can both sit back until one of you falls asleep.
Once upon a time.
Alexa also connects you to your favorite live radio stations with iHeartRadio. Tell Alexa to play your favorite iHeartRadio station like this. Alexa, play iHeart 80s.
Playing iHeart 80s on iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio has all your favorite music and radio on your smart speaker. This has been Smart Hacks for your smart speakers.
The Villanova Wildcats are again champions of men's college basketball. The top-seeded Cats cruising past third-seeded Michigan 79-62 in the national title game in San Antonio. Nova head coach Jay Wright
feels so blessed that we're put in this position to have each other, have guys like this to play with.
Nova claims its second title in 3 seasons, third overall. Dante DiVincenzo, the most outstanding player in the Final Four after the Wildcats guard poured in a career-high 31 points off the bench in the title win.
I did not think that I was going to have this kind of night because every night I come into the game, I just try to bring energy. I try to defend, I try to rebound.
With the regular season winding down in the NBA, some teams thinking playoffs, some thinking ping pong balls. Michigan State University's Jaren Jackson Jr., the latest to enter the NBA draft, announcing his decision Monday on social media. The 6'11" big man widely expected to be a lottery pick. He joins Miles Bridges as players leaving MSU early to turn pro. That's sports. Jake Warwin, NBC News Radio.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back, Dunc and Holder. Pleased to be joined by Darren Gant of Pro Football Talk, fellow Hall of Fame voter with our own Jeff Duncan, and a connoisseur of champagnes of beers at maybe a local CBD bar. Maybe I've had once or twice with him in history of life. What's up, Darren?
Yeah. Are they a sponsor? Can we say their name on the air?
We can kind of do whatever the hell we want. So yeah, you go for it.
All right, we'll always have Lucy's, Larry. It was a special night. I think it changed my life in a lot of ways.
Probably for the worse.
Lucy's has that effect on a lot of people, so
Yeah.
it isn't the first time.
Yeah. Hey, Darren,
That's
appreciate.
what I've heard.
Yeah.
So.
I appreciate you jumping on the show. Look, just wanted to get your thoughts, kind of bounce some things off of you. Let's just start off with the NFC South. Look, you're based in Charlotte or the Charlotte area, and have been around this division. And as far as going into this season, kind of seeing some of the offseason moves that some teams have made or some of them haven't made. Just kind of what are your thoughts on what's kind of going on and the landscape of moving forward right now?
Well, it's been kind of interesting watching those four teams develop this offseason. I mean, the Saints have been in kind of the same spot the Falcons have been in, almost held up by their quarterback contract, not able to do as much stuff as maybe they would want to kind of shore up some areas that were problems last year. I mean, really, the Falcons are frozen. Until they can get something done with Matt Ryan, there's not a lot they can do. Obviously, you guys know how the Breeze things hung over everybody's head down there. The Buccaneers have been really aggressive, and they've gone out and spent a bunch of money and made a bunch of moves and done a bunch of things, but they also had more ground to make up than anybody in the division. And even with all the stuff they've done, I don't know that I would pick them to be anywhere other than fourth in this division going into next season. I still think, of the four quarterbacks, they've got the least of the four, and they've made some aggressive moves to kind of put parts around Jameis Winston. But I just think, until he becomes a more consistent player, it's going to be hard for them to take that next big step to join in that club, with the Falcons, with the Saints, with the Panthers, it being toward the tail end of the NFC playoff hunt.
Darren, what is going on in Carolina? Larry and I have talked about on the program extensively. We understand kind of the plan in Atlanta, maybe to some degree in Tampa. I don't know what's going on in Carolina. Are they trying to get younger? They've obviously let Kurt Coleman go, Charles Johnson, Jonathan Stewart, Star Latulier. What is the plan there? Because from the outside, it just looks like there is no plan. I don't know.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I mean, they walked into this offseason without a huge surplus of salary cap room, and part of that's because they had a bunch of good players. I mean, and they've got a bunch of good veteran guys who are nearing the ends of their practical lives in the NFL, if not their contracts. I mean, if you think about guys like Greg Olsen, guys like Thomas Davis, guys like Ryan Khalil, guys like Julius Peppers, I mean, those guys are a lot closer to the end than they are the middle of their NFL careers. So they feel like they've still got a pretty good window of at least a year or two because, I mean, let's be honest, if you begin with a former MVP in Cam Newton and a former Defensive Player of the Year in Luke Kuechly, that's going to give those guys a pretty good place to start. I think that creates a pretty good floor for them that, I don't know how bad they're going to be as long as those two guys are each on the field. Now, again, there's questions about Kuechly and long-term longevity and what, concussions might do to his career and that kind of thing. But Luke has played at, one of the highest levels in middle linebacker in the league when he's been on the field. So I think they're still good. I think there's some obvious issues. They needed to fix that offense based on what was out there last year. And I think as much as anything else, as big a free agent acquisition as there's been in the NFC South, Norv Turner represents a huge upgrade at coordinator. I mean, not to throw any rocks at Mike Shula. Lord knows I did that for long enough when he was here. But I just think Norv has a better grasp on the ways to maximize what Cam Newton does. I just think, whatever you might have thought about the guy as a head coach, he's always done a good job as a coordinator with a lot of really different kind of parts. And I think putting him into a situation here with a lot of the same personnel. I mean, they've made some moves at wide receiver, but not big dramatic moves. I just think this was kind of done for Cam to push Cam Newton to a new level, and we'll see if it works. I mean, we'll see if Cam is receptive to the things Norv wants to teach him, but, regardless what you think of their receiving core, and it's still not great, but an offense with Cam Newton in the middle of it, with Christian McCaffrey maybe learning and taking on a little bigger role, and with Greg Olsen, they've got the opportunity to do some things. We'll just see how Cam takes to what Norv's teaching him.
Darren Gant from Pro Football Talk, join us right here on Dunc and Holder. Outside of the on-field issues, the ownership, what's the latest there? I know you and I were talking a good bit during the owners' meetings, and look, Jerry Richardson was not there, and of course, there are suitors floating out there. What's kind of the latest as far as where this ownership goes?
Larry, I am going to stick. My initial reporting on this topic sent me to the conclusion that the Carolina Panthers were about to be bought by some billionaire. It's kind of like my annual Kentucky Derby pick of some horse. They are in the midst of it right now. They've had two guys in already to sort of tour the property, take a look at the stadium. Right now, there's a little bit of jockeying. I think there's some posturing going on the Panthers' part to try to get this bid to a place it wants to be. But, I think the one salient point everybody's got to remember is Jerry Richardson chose to put this team for sale. Jerry Richardson is going to sell it to whom he pleases and in the manner in which he pleases. So I think there's some people in the league who have agendas that are maybe trying to push this guy, that guy. But ultimately, Jerry Richardson is going to decide what he wants to do because this is basically his last big decision. With the Sports Illustrated story that came out tail end of the year, he is, obviously disgraced is now the adjective that gets used with Jerry Richardson, disgraced NFL owner. But he is going to sell this thing the way he wants it sold. There were reports of a guy named Michael Rubin from Fanatics who is from Philadelphia and was talking about bringing in a partnership of guys that included Sean Combs, Steph Curry, and some other people. And I just don't think Jerry Richardson chooses to do business with them. I just don't think he wants to sell his team to those guys. So as there was a report a couple weeks ago that Rubin's group might have dropped out when the price reached a certain point. But I think realistically, Jerry Richardson just wasn't ever going to sell it to him.
Yeah, and I'm curious, what kind of struck me, Darren, is the reports that the valuation for the sale might be around $2.6 billion. I mean, that's an amazing number and speaks, I think, volumes to the health, the financial well-being of the NFL. Roger Goodell gets beat up by everybody, but when you look at the ownership groups, they're not beating him up because they see the price of their tickets on these organizations just going through the roof. They're skyrocketing.
Yeah, and I tell you what's going to be interesting in the next couple of years, Jeff, is if the Panthers sell for around 2.5, and that's kind of the ballpark I think most people think it's going to come in at. With the Bills having just sold, for reports, put that between 1.2 and 1.4 billion in 2014. I mean, you obviously see a huge appreciation. The thing I wonder is that going to trigger more teams to want to sell? I think there's some groups that are in flux. You've heard there was a lot of talk last week down in Orlando, people wondering if the Broncos might be on the block in a couple of years. And honestly, the Panthers are an attractive purchase because that stadium's basically bought and paid for. If they're worth 2.5, I would think the Broncos are worth significantly more than that based on their history, based on, the location and some other factors. But I think everybody is realizing what a good business it's in. So I wonder if we're going to see the Broncos. I wonder if we're going to see the Titans. Obviously, Mrs. Benson tried to put out some of that speculation last week, saying she would never sell the Saints, never encourage. But, I mean, I think it's going to be a realistic and reasonable question as long as teams are valued this way.
Darren Gant for Pro Football Talk. Hey, Darren, I appreciate you jumping on the show, my friend.
Absolutely, boys, anytime.
All right, Darren. That's Darren Gant, Pro Football Talk. You can follow him and all of his work over there and on Twitter at Darren Gant. All right, let's take a break right here on the show. When we get back, Drew Brees ripped off? Really? We'll get to the latest coming up next here. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
This report is brought to you by Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism.
I'm meteorologist Nakanda Norwood in the Fox 8 Weather Center. It's not a bad day. We have some clouds around, but overall, very pleasant conditions. Not out of the question you get a sprinkle on your windshield because there's so much moisture and warm air around. But the real rain threat is late tonight as we await a line of storms developing with a cold front that's going to be pushing into the region. We could see some strong to severe storms, so be on the lookout. This is after midnight until the wee hours of the morning. For Fox 8, your weather authority and Bounce TV, I'm meteorologist Nakandra Norwood.
It's the Waterway Village Zydeco and Crawfish Festival, Saturday, April 14th in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Make a weekend trip for plenty of crawfish, arts and crafts vendors, children's activities, and the best Zydeco bands from around the South. Get more info at gsob.co/crawfish.
Wow, it looks even better in person. Oh, yeah. And I put nothing down on this bad boy.
Nice.
That's not even the best part. Navy Federal offers car loan decisions in 5 minutes or less, and you can do it all from your phone.
What?
Yeah.
That's amazing, dude.
Get pre-approved for your next new or used car at Navy Federal Credit Union and find something new to brag about. Visit NavyFederal.org to learn more. Open to everyone in the armed forces, the DoD, veterans, and their families. Federally insured by NCUA.
The Home Depot has free carpet installation for any carpet purchase over $699. Free installation, as in no hidden fees for moving furniture, ripping out old carpet, carpeting stairs. Fees other places charge for their free carpet installation, we don't. For carpet installation that really is free, start with carpet from the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid on carpet priced $1 or more per square foot. Specialty items may be priced separately. License numbers available at homedepot.com/license numbers.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-500-8121. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-500-8121. That's 1-800-500-8121. 1-800-500-8121.
And now, a page from the Diary of Flo.
Dear Diary, the ghost is back. This house is protected through Progressive, but that doesn't mean it's not haunted. How else would you explain that radiator-like clanking sound? Or the moon-colored light in the hallway that's gone by morning? Maybe he never bundled home and auto, and he's doomed to suffer an eternity without the savings.
Save an average of 17% on car insurance when you bundle home and auto through Progressive.
What was that wind-like sound? Oh, right, the wind.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Your home for home team talk. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Man, tough living for Drew Brees.
Find that hard to believe.
He ends up on TMZ today. What did he do? Well, interestingly enough, Drew Brees feels like he's been ripped off, apparently. So Drew Brees, the headline, Drew Brees sues over $8 million ring, and then a little ellipsis follows and says, jeweler fires back. This is the most important sports story of the day. There's no question, ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm going to just read the story, and man, controversy everywhere. So this, according to TMZ Sports, Drew Brees claims he was scammed out of millions by a jeweler who sold him an $8 million ring, but the jeweler is saying Brees has no one to blame but himself. The Saints quarterback has filed a lawsuit against Vahid Moradi, who runs the C.J. Charles Jewelry Shop in San Diego. Brees claims he's been buying jewelry from Moradi for years and has dropped roughly $15 million on some insane pieces, including watches, earrings, and rings. Problem is, again, I'm just reading the TMZ report.
That's a lot of money.
Brees claims he recently had his jewelry independently appraised and was told his collection is worth $9 million less than what he paid for. In his lawsuit filed Monday, Brees says Moradi had insisted his jewelry was a solid investment that would definitely go up in value over the years, and feels like he was lied to the entire time. Brees claims the biggest hit he took was on a 4.09 carat blue diamond ring he bought in 2015 for $8.18 million, which recently was only appraised for $3.75 million. And then Maratti's attorney, Eric M. George, saying that Brees shouldn't be pointing the finger at Maratti, but should blame himself. Now, here's the quote from George. Drew Brees aggressively purchased multi-million-dollar pieces of jewelry. Years later, claiming to suffer, quote-unquote, cash flow problems, he tried to bully my client into undoing the transactions. Mr. Brees' behavior and his belief that he was wrong because the jewelry did not appreciate in value as quickly as he hoped both demonstrate a lack of integrity and contradict basic principles of both economics and the law. He should restrict his game playing to the football field and refrain from bullying honest, hard-working businessmen like my client. Drew Brees is seeking at least $9 million in damages. So basically, here's what happened. I'm gonna look at it this way. Remember, Jeff, you collected baseball cards, I'm assuming, as a kid, right?
Yes.
Clyde, did you collect baseball cards, football cards, or anything?
Among others, yes.
You remember, say, in 1986, the Jose Canseco rated rookie card was this massively expensive card. And then guess what? One day in life,
Dave had this card.
I had it too. It was like worth $200, $300 at some point, right?
Yep.
Now that sucker's worth about 30 cents because he is worthless. So should I go back to Donruss and be like, you guys ripped me off? Or to the baseball card dealer or whoever, say, you guys ripped me off? Should I do that?
No.
Should Drew Brees be whining and complaining about his
we don't know.
value?
We don't know.
We don't
know
know
his
yet.
side of the story.
Hey.
We don't know his side of the
We
story.
know his side. He's claiming he got ripped off.
I don't know. I need to see the actual lawsuit, not TMZ. I don't. Pardon me, but I don't trust TMZ.
Well, obviously they got a copy of the
take.
lawsuit.
I know.
A reasonable take, though. Not to trust TMZ. That's a reasonable take.
But I do think there is some point of that. You just have to go with the laws of economics, right? I mean, valuations are always in flux. It's like the stock market. The jewel. If he invested if he bought the jewelry as an investment, it's sort of like art. The same thing. It can go up or down. You just have to trust. You're subject to the whims of the market. It's just how it works.
Let me tell you how many people feel sorry for Drew on this story. No one.
I've got a question. $15 million?
$15 million? We're glossing over the story here. We're talking about, we're talking literally.
Do you know how much money
about
this guy makes?
Drew,
that's not that much in his life.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Not in his life.
If he's got $300 million, still a lot of money.
Even if it's like a $20 million contract, like per season deal, it's like, what? $15 million of that, of what he's made, has gone into jewelry? First of all, clearly, we have been duped. We have been completely duped.
Duped?
Yes.
Where are we going here? This ought to
Drew
be good.
Brees is clearly a gangster. He is a G.
This is where we're going.
He is a absolute G.
He's not wearing the blue diamond.
He might as well be. I mean, literally, we're talking about like Drew Brees, Jimmy John spokesman, walk-ons, Advocare. Nah, Drew Brees is a G. I would have never thought we'd be talking about Drew Brees needing to have a better jeweler, saying that he needs to be in more rap lyrics, talking about going to Jacob the jeweler than going to this guy. Because, we know people. He knows people.
What's a G?
20-inch blades on the Impala.
I thought Drew Brees played quarterback, not guard. What's a G?
Shoot, man. We need to give him a new nickname instead of ignore Jeffrey. We need to give him a nickname.
You know who would be where he would. You think he would be with The Rock on that show Ballers?
Absolutely.
That's where Drew Brees should end up.
Just
because of his jewelry.
Out, huge pinky ring with a huge diamond on it. Instead of 2 chains, we need to call him 9 chains.
How about no one feels sorry for Drew here?
Fair.
No one. Why would anyone feel sorry for Drew?
Why would you? Look.
I do not feel sorry for him.
We all have different things we invest our money in. I get it. But isn't this also akin to some of the things that we talk about, athletes getting not so good advice of business ventures that they get into, i.e. bad real estate or investment firms or some of these other things that they get duped on and then they get absolutely swindled for millions of dollars? Because there are some guys who can't do that. There are some guys who get caught up in that life and they get absolutely railroaded, and then they're the ones who are screwed over.
All I know is the jewelry he bought
Play some of that Lil Troy Day.
depreciated in value, and so he's upset about it. I mean, I'm not gonna feel bad about it. Is this Blue Diamond? Is this the one that your girl dropped into the ocean in Titanic?
Sure, whatever.
And they found it, and it was supposed to be worth $8 million. Is
Yeah,
that
it's
it?
not real.
Rose? Is
Yeah.
that your girl's name? Rose from Titanic?
Yep.
Maybe we need to be in the jewelry business. Seems like there's a lot of money in it.
He should have shopped from the most famous jeweler that I can remember, Gem Diamond. In Saved by the Bell, Zach bought some ripped-off gold rings, turned everybody's finger green.
And we have all come full circle now. Back to Saved by the Bell.
That's exactly right. I guess Drew Brees shopped at Gem Diamond. Poor guy. But they got Gem Diamond in the end, and he reimbursed him and got him some real gold rings.
Look.
Can Drew pull what Zach Morris did to Gem Diamond on this jeweler? Breaking news. We got exclusive. We got to find out.
There's no way. There's no way. First of all, that's a scripted television show. It's not real. These things are a lot more complex.
Saved by the Bell is real.
Tell me where Bayside is.
It's in California, but they
wrong. There's a Bayside, Florida.
It's in Shermer, Illinois.
Well, they moved from Illinois to California magically after one season of Saved by the Bell, like before Kelly and all those folks joined.
I remember that first season.
All right, time to take a break. Most important segment of radio just happened. So, all right, take a break. Got time for a little bit more phone calls if you want to jump in. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved here. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Older.
Alvin Gentry went off.
You can't guess on a foul.
But I think he should have went a little bit further than he did.
Call it both ways.
It's been something that I think should have happened a long time ago. It's almost three blind mice that are officiating games.
Eric Asher, weekdays, noon to 2.
You get a strong opinion each and every day.
We're here in this new neighborhood to talk about the American dream. Looking good, boys. A dream that Navy Federal Credit Union wants to help you celebrate with a mortgage that you won't lose sleep over. Navy Federal offers 100% financing, no private mortgage insurance, and even no money down on a variety of conventional and VA loans. So start living your dream today. Subject to approval, 100% financing loans include an additional funding fee. Visit NavyFederal.org for more information. Open to the Armed Forces, the DoD, veterans, and their families. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
The Home Depot has free carpet installation for any carpet purchase over $699. Free installation, as in no hidden fees for moving furniture, ripping out old carpet, carpeting stairs. Fees other places charge for their free carpet installation, we don't. For carpet installation that really is free, start with carpet from the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid on carpet priced $1 or more per square foot. Specialty items may be priced separately. License numbers available at homedepot.com/license numbers.
Derek Smalls, formerly of the band formerly known as Spinal Tap. Lukewarm Water Live.
Hello, this is Derek Smalls. In Lukewarm Water Live, loudness is just the beginning. Come for the journey. Stay for the parking.
Saturday, April 21st, 7:30 p.m. Sanger Theater, New Orleans, featuring the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com or at the Sanger Theater box office.
There you are. I've got great news. When you use your Capital One Venture Card to book and pay for a room on Hotels.com/venture, you'll earn 10 miles for every dollar you spend at thousands of hotels. Doesn't that sound amazing?
It does. Just like the smooth jazz in this hotel lounge.
Wow, Captain Obvious. I didn't realize you were such a jazz fan.
I have two loves in my life. This deal and the jazz tuba.
Clearly, it loves you right back. What's in your wallet?
Offer available through January 2020. Capital One Bank USA NA.
Swamp Elite Retreat is a nonprofit charity dedicated exclusively to benefiting our nation's active military, veterans, and their families' well-being. They offer counseling, tutoring, workshops, and events throughout the year, providing service and meeting the needs of our elite. Swamp Elite Retreat is committed to improving the emotional, physical, spiritual, and economic benefit of our military and veterans from across the country at their 25-acre Comfort Center. Sponsors and donations are welcome by visiting SwampEliteRetreat.com. That's SwampEliteRetreat.com.
It's a new way to party with friends under the umbrellas or on the new Sky Deck watching great golf. Enjoy fresh oysters, fried seafood, and cocktails. The Acme Oyster House, right on the course at the Zurich Classic, April 26th through 29th. For tickets, call today or visit ZurichGolfClassic.com.
In your head, they are fighting with their
Dunc and Older now.
Asher next at noon on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
Jeff has discovered the most important bracket of the day. Jeff, why don't you relay? So, all right, let's learn what Jeff doesn't know about. So Jeff doesn't know that The Rock was in WWE.
Yeah.
What else did you not know?
That's the only thing
just
I don't
now?
know.
No, something you did not know.
One
just
thing in
now.
the world.
One thing in the world.
That's being modest.
That's me, yes.
And Jeff did not know that he did not
Saved
make...
by the Bell, I really don't know anything
Well, I
about.
figured you didn't know.
I had to check out on that.
I mean, no one's surprised about that.
I mean, you talk about that, it's
No
like
surprise.
speaking Swahili.
Yes, but Jeff is now discovering that he was not on the 64 most annoying people in sports media, according to, I've never even heard of this website. The
Spun?
.com?
Spun's good.
Well, I've never heard of that.
It's Onion-like in its takes for sports people.
Okay.
Yes. So they
did not
did
make the top 64. We didn't even make the tournament. We weren't even like last four in.
Yeah,
or last four out.
We're like in the
our RPI is really low.
We're in the CBI of this rating, I think. We didn't even make the NIT.
No, we did not make the NIT.
But they have a 64-person bracket of the most annoying people in sports media, and the final four would not surprise, I think, very many people. They were Jamel Hill, Britt McHenry.
No, Britt McHenry didn't make it. She got upset in the Sweet 16, dude.
Get with the bracket. You got to tell me then.
All right.
Because I don't have the updated
The
thing.
final four in this were...
She got upset.
She got upset by Bill Walton, who made the final four.
Okay.
How is that even... Never mind. Never mind.
So it was Stephen A. Smith versus Skip Bayless in one national semifinal.
That's terrible bracketing.
And then Jamel Hill versus Bill Walton. And Jamel Hill beat out Bill Walton. Screamin' A beat out Bayless. And Jamel Hill won as the most annoying. Clyde is shaking his head.
What?
Why are you shaking
joke?
your head? Why are you shaking your head?
Well, first of all, this is clearly terrible bracketing. Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless should have been on opposite sides of the bracket, number one.
So they should have been like
It should have been like a 1-2, like 1-2. That is indisputable or undisputed, as one show would like to probably have it. There's no way that they should be on the same side of the bracket. That should have been the 1-2 matchup. They should have gone head-to-head, just like in First Take, and then Skip Bayless would have lost to Stephen A., and then all would have been right in the world. Jamel Hill shouldn't have been nowhere near that, because on the basis of what some of these other people have said, specifically Britt McHenry, Clay Travis, who are absolute panderers.
I think you're showing your political bias here, Clyde.
I'm not showing any political bias.
Just a heads up.
There's a difference. There's a difference between saying some of the things that Jamel Hill said specifically that were a little more thought-provoking, as opposed to pandering to a fan base.
I will say,
like Clay Travis and Britt McHenry did.
I will say, looking at this bracket, there are a lot of annoying people in sports. A lot of them.
Yeah, right.
People probably accuse us of being that, and that's okay. But if I'm annoying, there are a lot more annoying people than me. I'm just going to go out on a limb there on this bracket.
I think that Final Four is pretty strong, although Bill Walton isn't annoying to me at all.
Well, he's annoying to a lot of other people,
I think he's just
though.
funny. Like, he's just ridiculous.
I think he's smart and funny, and he's a former superstar.
Look, I could see how the number one seeds in this bracket, it was Stephen A., Skip Bayless, Jamel Hill, and Britt McHenry. I could understand all four of those getting to the Final Four, because no matter what way you look at things, all of them can be annoying in any way, shape, or form. No question about it. They were all deserving.
Yeah, and I guess, the difference between most annoying versus the most incendiary, I guess, would be kind of different.
It's kind of a broad brush here.
Yeah.
Depends on your level of annoyance.
Well, I mean,
there are a lot of people who are frustrated with Bill Walton in Pac-12 games. Like, the amount of people who do nothing but constantly tweet late nights during basketball season just because Bill Walton is either going off on a tangent about the Grateful Dead, about the mountains, about something with Mother Nature and the earth. They literally dread watching Pac-12
Something
games.
with Mother Nature and the earth.
Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless are paid to be annoying. That's the difference. Britt McHenry is just annoying.
Amen.
Jamel Hill is annoying. They're not paid to be annoying. I think there's a serious difference between those two worlds.
I would tend to agree.
One person I'm surprised didn't get a lot more run was Mike Lupica.
Yeah, but I think he's past his prime.
Yeah, it's also true. It's a good point.
15 years ago, he'd be way bigger. Well, 20 years ago when it was, Sports Reporters was in its heyday?
Yeah.
Or 25 years ago, he would be way farther up there. Or like any of like the Mad Dog and whatever, Francesa, those guys, they probably say those guys are in
Well, apparently they got riled up yesterday because apparently Francesa went on Sirius XM radio with the Mad Dog and said something about
Boomer Esiason.
Boomer Esiason.
We should do a local sports media bracket ourselves one day.
The most annoying?
Yes, that'd be fun.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Oh, Lord.
You'd be the number one seed.
That might be a number one seed.
Yeah, I think we can come up with some number one seeds real easy.
That would be danger zone. Maybe we'll do it, though.
Might be
Friday.
fun.
That could be good.
Oh, boy. Anyway, great show. Missed any of it, sports1280.com. Go to our NOLA.com YouTube page. Clyde will have some updates on NOLA.com as well. Want to thank Darren Gant. Want to thank Ron Higgins. Want to thank Gene Gilliott. I will be in Baton Rouge tomorrow for LSU Pro Day, so Clyde and Jeff and Dave will be holding down the fort, but I will be chiming in from up there. Also, Will Guillory will be on tomorrow as well. So come on back. Sports1280NOLA.com and the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder.
Here's today's tax tip. You must have health insurance to avoid paying a tax penalty even under the recently passed tax reform legislation. Chief Tax Officer for Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, Mark Stever, says if you did not have health insurance in 2017 and are supposed to have health insurance in 2018, the penalty applies.
All Americans right now, and even under the new law, under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, must